So today we went over some of the responses that you gave for your homework for 4A. I wanted to share just one from a student. Circle essay type, and this person circled describe. The support options, you were only able on 4A to do a sample, personal experience, or statistics. This person's thesis was Audra Hill is my favorite teacher because she is engaging and very good at directing theatrical productions. So you can see how this is specific yet broad enough to have several additional body paragraphs that would have some of these aspects of Mrs. Hill's teaching methods as their topic sentences or their topics. So then in the body, remember we were just doing a statement followed by a first example or explanation, followed by a second example explanation. So here in the body, we have Mrs. Hill's classes are effective without being boring. That's a statement. In our last class, two people sat on each side of one person and they each had to try to keep that person's attention. That's an example. It was a lot of fun, and it also was great practice for our improvisation skills. So that is kind of more of an explanation than an example, but I just wanted to share this one. As you can see, it is super straightforward. So what we decided to do as a class is instead of working on 3B, we would just try and create a full-on body paragraph. Just make it up right there in class. So we had coffee cups as our item, and then we did a narrative or descriptive. So we came up with this as our thesis statement. Coffee cups can bring daily joy to those around us. So you can see how this, as a thesis statement, a big umbrella, could have multiple inspiration for different body paragraphs that may follow it. So Laura offered up a personal experience with coffee cups, and we decided to go with that. So here is our thesis statement. This would also be the last sentence of your introductory paragraph and kind of acting as that transition to your first body paragraph. So let's look at this. So here is our topic sentence. The tradition of buying a special coffee cup for my dad started many years ago. So that's our topic sentence. That's what we're going to talk about in this first paragraph. So our first statement is, my dad drinks a cup of coffee every morning. That's a statement. Followed by, when I was 10 or 11, I gave him a special cup for his birthday. That's our first example or explanation. Here's our second. It made him laugh so much, I've continued doing it. Okay, so far so good. Here's our second statement, or the start of our second SEE set. Each cup has a funny saying. Here's our first example in our second SEE set. The one I got him, the last one, I have a typo. The last one I got him said, no matter what life throws at you, at least you don't have ugly children. So that's our first example in our second SEE set. Here is our second example or explanation. He drinks his coffee from that cup every day. And let's wrap it up. Even though it's simple, a coffee cup can be a special gift. So there's our clincher. You can see that it repeats or reflects 2 or 3 keywords from our topic sentence. Okay, but it does bring the reader to kind of a slightly different place than our topic sentence. And so that's our clincher, and we're done. So you can see that it doesn't have to be really highbrow. It can just be a super clear, super a paragraph that the reader can follow. It knows the reader knows where you're going to take him or her, and we don't lose that person along the way by inserting different information that isn't about what we're talking about. So let's look at now the 5 additional types of support to use in your essays. And this is what you're going to be using for your homework. So let's look at them. The 4th type of support, observation. This often uses words like might or could. It is a kind of a weak kind of support. It will, a reliable statistic will kind of shred an observation if you were in a debate or something, but it is still very useful, especially in a persuasive, but also in a story, or you're just trying to, like in the end, in your conclusion, you're trying to give value to the reader and kind of tell them what you would like them to take away from this. So here's one example from the topic, a gift. A small gift could accompany an apology. So that would be one way that it would work to use as a support and would be perfectly fine. 5th type of support, research or testimony. Expert is a word that's thrown around a lot, so you kind of have to research your sources and make sure that you are not just using Wikipedia as a place to get your information. I will be going over this in detail in class when we get closer to doing research on our persuasive papers. So you might stay in your persuasive, you might say, according to Dr. Julie Smith, chief surgeon at Valley General Hospital. So that's an expert, and then she may be giving either a personal experience, or she might be giving a statistic or something like that. But you can see how you really want to make sure that you're dealing with a person with the actual knowledge of the situation. 6th type of support, description. So this is when you get into the vivid and specific details that are going to stick in the mind of the reader. And that picture that you paint should also have a purpose. Filled with sensory details, of course, because it is a description. But if you look in your book, there's under where the author is just telling about this description support, there is a paragraph about cancerous lungs and how they are like burnt cookies or lumps of charcoal. I mean, that's quite vivid, and it kind of sticks with you. So that's the reason why that was a persuasive essay type. And so that kind of image that you can imprint on your reader can have an effect and shift their mind on the topic. 7th type of support, anecdote or story. These, like personal experiences and statistics, must be true if you're going to use them. If they're not true, then just use an example type of support, not an anecdote or story. Very focused with relevant details. You can't tell all the things about the story. Just focus in on the ones that are going to help your essay. And a lot of times in a personal experience, you're going to have these anecdotes or stories because that's generally how we describe a personal experience. So, and the last type of support is an analogy, which brings together 2 dissimilar thoughts and then they work together to create a new feeling, thought, or understanding in the reader. because all of this is for the reader. It's you telling your story, giving your persuasion, telling your narrative for the reader. So you might obviously know this, it uses like or as when comparing. So in that previous one, there was a small analogy of they were like burned cookies. So that's one thing you can keep in mind. That is all I'm going to go through today. I'm going to just go very quickly back. I apologize. That's kind of fun. And just go back to this homework. So the homework is read chapter 4. Chapter 4 is about transitions. And sometimes these are the trickier things that writers can work with. The way that she has explained them is really awesome. You're really going to understand these concepts and you're going to be able to put these in practice right away. So complete exercise 4B, both 1 and 2. And I did hand back exercise 4A with some notes. I need you to send that back to me electronically. It may be as simple as just snapping a photo of it and attaching that image to your email to me, as well as the actual homework of 4B 1 and 2. So you want to, for each of the paragraphs you're going to write, both 1 and 2, you're going to choose a different topic, an essay, a different essay type. Like they're not going to share an essay type. You're going to choose one of the topics that are given. So socialism, favorite teacher, like that. You're going to choose a different essay type for each of them. And you're only going to use the 4th through 8th support types for each of these. And please circle your choices that you're going to be doing so it's clear for me. You do not need to do an academic statement, although if you feel so inclined and you want to do that, awesome possum. So this is going to be a complete paragraph. So you're going to start out with a thesis statement. Maybe it's one that you've used before. Maybe you're going to create a new thesis statement, even if you've written on this topic before. Okay, this is up to you. But remember, this thesis statement would be the last sentence of your introductory paragraph. Then write the complete first body of the essay that would go with that thesis. So that's a topic sentence, an SEE set, a second SEE set, and a clincher that relates back to that topic sentence. You will probably not be able to fit it on the sheet in your book. So use a separate piece of lined paper for each paragraph, or use a word processor and type it out. I'll leave that up to you. I will be following the rubric on page 125 in your student book, so you can see what kinds of things you can kind of check off for yourself as you're writing them. Also, please proofread your work because I will be following that mechanics line in there. So you want to be careful to catch those. Sometimes you're going to miss one. That's okay. You won't be missing any points if you have 1, 2, or even 3 grammatical or mechanics problems in each paragraph. So, take the steps that you can, have someone proofread it, or whatever you can put into play there. So that's it. And I look forward to seeing your work by 3 p.m. Friday or 3 p.m. Saturday for you online students. All right, if you have any questions, message me. I will be out of town for a few days, but I will be connected. Thanks and good night.